Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Greciancast. I'm your host, Tom Picillo, and today I'm joined by Sam Parks and Joseph Terry to discuss a pretty turbulent week for Exeter City as key players departed and new signings arrived. In the last week, we've seen Archie Collins sign for Peterborough United, Jack Sparks joined Portsmouth, Josh Coley head to Sutton United, and both Rekim Harper and Kegs Chauke link up at Burton Albion. As far as incomings are concerned as well, City have announced the signing of attacking midfielder Jack Aitchison after he was released by Motherwell. I mean, Sam, it's fair to say it's been a pretty busy week at SJP.
Yeah, a very, very busy week, mainly a lot of outgoings, but a few incomings as well. I'm hopefully sure that this is the start of a really busy transfer period for Exeter City. But yeah, a very lively week at SJP.
Yeah, Joe, Gary doing a lot of early business, a lot of outgoings, to be fair, at the start of this window. But I expect we can see a few more incomings later as we progress through the summer transfer window.
Fingers crossed we've got some ingoings coming in, because at this rate, we're going to have a squad that's 4 or 5 less than it was at the end of the season. Yeah, massive week in terms of transfers out of SJP. A lot more than I expected. I think even you or Sam expected. And yeah, I'm getting a bit nervous about that, but I think I'll get onto that later on in the episode itself. But hopefully we've got some great signings coming up, because we also managed to get some great fees out of these players too.
Yeah, of course. And finally, shirts have obviously been released today, the new kits for the 23-24 season. So we'll give them a little review later in the episode. But as I said, we'll start off with the transfer stories. And the first big transfer story of the week was a pretty unexpected one. We thought that he'd depart. It always seemed likely that he'd be leaving the club. But Archie Collins has left Exeter City to sign for Peterborough United. We heard reports that Archie was increasingly unlikely to re-sign for City under Gary Caldwell. Obviously, his contract being up this summer, and it looked for the world like he was going to move on. And obviously, he's taken a little step up. I think that's probably fair to say, in going to Peterborough, who will probably end up pushing for promotion next year. He entered City career with 220 appearances to his name and 14 goals as well. I mean, Joe, what a servant he's been for the club. After making his debut in 2017, he served this club for so many years, so many games. I think he deserves a chance at stepping up.
Yeah, if there were statues outside of SJP, he might be one of the people that could be calling for one in a few years' time, but we don't do that here. We're not Man City. That being said, it really is a great career at SJP for Archie Collins, and he'll be a really sore miss in the squad itself. He's been one of the best, I think, passers on the ball out the whole squad this year in a team that sometimes lacks that positional player to really unlock the play. I was saying in the group chat when this was announced, I was saying that Archie Collins, for me at least, he was that player who would unlock whether or not you're going to go defensive or attacking in a play. And you saw towards the end of the season that someone like Kev McDonald tried his hardest to play that position, but you never really felt like he was doing it as well as Archie Collins, did you? And I think that Archie Collins going, great to see him get step up. And I think for a player like him to go to Peterborough United, it's a great move, because I think he'll fit in well with that squad.
Sam, like Joe's just said, basically, he's going to be a huge miss. He's one of those players that really did control a game. Whenever he got possession of the ball, it felt like he was in complete control of where that pass was going to go. He's got an excellent range of passing. Goodness me, Peterborough have got some player on their hands, but City, we're really going to miss Archie.
Yeah, we're really going to miss him. A brilliant player, good defensively, good in the middle of the park. He can attack as well when needed. Just a really solid midfielder, and credit to everyone at the academy. He really shows how strong Exeter's academy is, and a real servant, as we've said. But he will be a big miss for Exeter. He was the most dynamic midfielder in that midfield last season. I think him and Harry Kite both had really good seasons. Hopefully Kitey can kick on and follow in Archie's footsteps, but he'll be a big miss. But the right time to move if you're Archie Collins in his career, unfortunately for us.
I think if you look at Archie's time at Exeter City, I think it's probably fair to say that he's been one of the best midfielders we've had at the club since the turn of the century. I look at other brilliant midfielders that we've had, Nicky Law, Ryan Harley, of course, two excellent midfielders. But Archie Collins was, I think he's one of those players that does have an unlimited potential, if you like. He's still at such a young age with so much ability. I really haven't seen the like at Exeter City for quite a long time at such a young age as well. So I hope that he goes and does brilliant things at Peterborough United. One thing I will say, though, is it is a step up going to Peterborough. They'll be looking to push for promotion at the end of the season. Obviously, they got into the playoffs last season. They'll be looking to go one better this time. But do you think that he could have made the move to the Championship if I don't know. I mean, was it possible? Was it ever on the card? Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it 100% was. We heard the Rotherham links. They have Matt Taylor. Matt Taylor, obviously a massive Archie Collins fan. I just think, Peterborough, yes, it's a step up. They will be challenging. Good team. He replaces Ollie Norburn, who is leaving. He left Peterborough in the week. But, I think there were the options for Archie to maybe move into the Championship. I was a bit surprised when Peterborough came out. It'd be interesting to see the fee that was paid in compensation. I saw it was definitely a six-figure fee. That's what Peterborough came out and said. But, interesting move, but all in all, a very good one for Archie.
Yeah, Darragh McAntony, the chairman of Peterborough, said that he's thrilled to announce the big signing of Archie Collins on a big six-figure fee from Exeter City on a 3-year deal. So that's going to be some compensation that City receive. Of course, I mean, to be honest, it's a weird system that they've got in terms of the compensation fees. Archie out of contract, but we were still owed money. It's quite a good little system at giving a little reward for clubs that produce young talent and eventually see their players out of contract. But it's good that we received a bit of money. How do we think he'll get on at Peterborough? Of course, a club that will look to push for promotion this year or in the coming season. But we've seen other Exeter City players go to Peterborough United in the past. Tom Nichols, of course, went to Peterborough, really struggled there, ended up at Bristol Rovers, then Crawley, and is now at Gillingham. And then Christy Pym, my goodness knows what's happened to him. I mean, started off really well at Peterborough, but then ended up going out on loan to Stevenage, then Mansfield. Now he's back at Peterborough, but it's on the transfer window. And then I think the less said about Joel Randall, the better, really, because even though he is one of those players who went to Peterborough and apparently was a big part of the reason why Archie made the move to Posh, his career hasn't exactly gone to plan at Peterborough. So there is a bit of an Exeter Peterborough curse. Can Archie Collins lift it, Sam?
Yes. Archie Collins is an unbelievable player. He's proven in League One. He had a brilliant season this season. Everyone's been kind of watching him. And Peterborough will be very happy to have him in that midfield as they try and push for promotion.
For sure. So that's Archie Collins to Peterborough. Best of luck to Archie as he makes the next step in his career. One other player making a move up. I mean, almost certainly, Jack Sparks to Portsmouth. Who saw this coming? I really didn't think that he would find another League One club, let alone one that will be pushing for promotion, maybe even the league title next year under John Mousinho. Portsmouth have got huge ambitions. Jack Sparks to Portsmouth. Who saw this one coming? Joe, I'm sure you didn't.
I didn't see it coming at all. It really was a 1-2 punch of a day for transfers because this was on the same day that we heard about the Archie Collins deal. And yeah, really left field move here. Again, we know the ambition Portsmouth have got. We know they're trying to drive to get further up table because this year they had some really poor spells of form. Let's just say it as it was. It
was the start of the season, wasn't it, under Danny Cowley, where things really didn't go to plan. They brought in John Mousinho. What a weird sort of managerial appointment that was. A current Oxford United player, then obviously making the move into management at such a young age and while still playing. And ever since they appointed Mousinho, they've looked on the up and, well, it looks likely that they'll be going for promotion next year.
It does seem like they will go for promotion. I think they've got a good shout here. I think, ironically, we might end up with a Jack Sparks, Archie Collins battle for promotion, which would be quite funny if it does end up that way. But yeah, really left field move this. I think for Jack Sparks, maybe he was losing out on some game time at points, but you never really felt like he was falling out of love with the club in terms of the media, in terms of how he's performing on the pitch. So obviously he's been given that move up in the league, and I think you can't really blame him for taking that move.
It's a really good point. And Sam, obviously, he did find himself behind Demi Mitchell, behind Jake Caprice in the pecking order on that left side, left wing back role, if you like, at Exeter City. But clearly, Mousinho sees something in him, and maybe it's safe to say that Gary Caldwell, maybe even Matt Taylor as well, didn't actually get the best out of Jack Sparks. What do you think?
Look, I wasn't expecting this one, and it's a very good move for Sparks. Pompey, I expect them to be up there. They've really gone in so far in the transfer window. But part of me is a little bit confused because Sparks left Exeter to nail down a starting spot at a different club, more minutes in the legs. But I don't see him starting at Pompey at all. I think he's a rotation squad depth player, similar to his role at Exeter City. If he was maybe chosen, went for the bigger club, he saw the vision and thought, I could sit on the bench here because, I've got a good chance of promotion maybe. But it's a good move for him, but an odd one given what he wanted from Exeter City and why he left.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I'd be interested to see if Portsmouth fans really do think that he's going to be a starting player, because I think he may well be a rotational player, but that's kind of what he was at Exeter. Obviously, he made that decision to leave Exeter City at the end of last season, and he's made the move to Pompey. Let's hope it goes well for him, because I think he is a player with a lot of potential. I've always enjoyed watching him play. I think that he's much better going forward than defensively. I think defensively he's got a lot to work on. But going forward, I think we saw glimpses of what he can be. That excellent goal against Harrogate Town, of course, probably the highlight. Scored against Derby County as well. So I think there's a lot for Portsmouth fans to look forward to. Let's just hope that he can reignite what we saw maybe from the promotion season, when he, certainly the latter half after he came back from his loan at Torquay, and kind of recreate some of that form, because I know that there's a player in there, and hopefully Mousinho can get the best out of him at Pompey. So moving on to the next outgoing, and Josh Coley has left the Grecians to join Sutton United for an undisclosed fee. Gary Caldwell said Josh is someone who didn't feature a lot last season, and he was keen to play more football. Given the fee that we were offered by Sutton, we felt it was the right thing for both Josh and the football club to allow him to leave. We wish him all the best for the future. A fee for Josh Coley, I think as soon as a bid came in, maybe we just had to accept. I think that getting money for a squad player like Coley, who probably hasn't shone like we thought he might, is actually quite a good bit of business, Sam.
Yeah, Coley a strange one. He's never really been settled at Exeter City. He never nailed down that spot. Even in the League Two in the promotion season, he could never nail down that starting spot. It was always, Nombe, Brown, Matt J as the attackers. But, Coley couldn't seem to break into that, unfortunately. He had some good moments here and there and looked a good player sometimes. But, Exeter will just take the money and move on, I think, with this one. Out of contract at the end of the season, you better cash in now than never. It won't be a huge fee from Sutton. It's Sutton United. They don't have the big bucks. But, I think a good move for all parties involved.
Yeah, I think it is a good move. He had a loan spell in League Two, obviously returning back to League Two now, with Harrogate Town at the start of this season, before he was eventually recalled after we sold Tim Dieng and Matt J, who left for Colchester in January. We brought him back. He didn't really play much for the sort of third quarter of the season, if you like. But come the end of the season, he ended up forming a decent strike partnership with Josh Key. But we just never really saw the best from Josh Coley, and hopefully he can I suppose go on to better things at Sutton. He's taking a step back in his career now, I suppose, to go back to League Two. So hopefully he can work some magic there, linking up with former Exeter City striker, albeit briefly, Harry Smith. All 6'6" of him, who actually ended up going back to Leyton Orient from his loan spell because he felt homesick. Moving now to Sutton, so staying in London. So hopefully Harry Smith and Josh Coley can make a decent little partnership up top. We'll have to wait and see. Up next.
Can I just butt in?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
I
go
was
for
going
it.
to say that I've got a lot of sympathy for Josh Coley because I think he did his best job to try and get some form in that final quarter of the year. But I always thought that he was a League Two player that's trying to punch above his weight. And that's no knock on his skills or his talent or his quality up front. But that's just a knock on the fact that he was training at a League Two level for half the year. And then he was parachuted in after we had some really left field transfers out of nowhere. So I've got a lot of sympathy for Josh Coley because I actually think that in terms of the situation he was thrown into, it wasn't really the best situation for a young player to get. So it makes sense for him to go to Sutton because I think he's a League Two player. That's not me saying he doesn't have a prospect or a future behind him. But I sort of think that to chuck him into League One this early was a bit quick.
Yeah, I actually don't disagree with that. I think that, yeah, maybe he is a League Two quality player at the moment. There's nothing to say that he can't, go on and improve into the future. I'm sure that he'll end up at least in League One in a few years' time. But at the moment, I think he needs a spell playing regular football to really take that next step in his career. So good luck to Josh Coley. A couple of other transfers that came on the same day, pretty much within an hour of each other. Two former Grecians in Raheem Harper and Kegs Chauke, both linking up at Burton Albion in their midfield. Now, this is an interesting move for both of them. Of course, Raheem Harper on loan from Ipswich. He went back to Ipswich, had his contract terminated there because he was never going to get game time in the Championship. Wasn't going to happen. So he's now made the move back into League One with Burton Albion, where he'll probably play as a deeper midfielder. And then Kegs Chauke has left Southampton on a permanent deal now to sign for Burton Albion. Two former Exeter City players, two players who played for us last season, who maybe didn't get the game time they would have liked, probably showed glimpses of being the players that they can be. But two interesting moves here, Joseph. What do you think of them?
Really interesting moves, really frankly bizarre moves these that you end up with two loanees and young players ending up on the same club after transfers have gone their way. I think it makes sense they both left their clubs, as you said. Kegs Chauke wasn't going to get game time for Southampton in the Championship, and always Raheem Harper for Ipswich. So it makes sense for them to go. And I think they will be joining a Burton Albion team that, quite frankly, desperately need them in their team. Because I think for as much as we've been saying that then maybe not exactly the best players in the squad for the City squad, which I think is fair to say, they weren't always performing at the top level other players in the squad were. For a club like Burton Albion, they need any young prospect, any star player, or any player with some good confidence they've got. Because, I mean, you were there at the Pirelli this year for what we said was the worst away day. And you watched their squad and you just thought, this is a squad that needs some midfield strength. And I think they will get that from a player like Raheem Harper. Even if he wasn't quite cutting mustard at SJP, I actually think he's got maybe some quality in him. Sam's shaking his head. I know he's probably going to disagree with me.
Yeah, look, I think it's a really interesting. I think Kegs Chauke is a really good signing. I wasn't sold on him completely in the first half of the season, but second half, I thought he came on leaps and bounds. He looked really good in that midfield, and I would have taken him back at Exeter, to be honest, Kegs. I was really impressed with him.
Yeah, I think Kegs is a good signing for Burton, and they've been making some moves actually. Already brought in Cole Stockton as well, got a new goalkeeper as well from Grimsby. So they're building a squad for next year. Dino Marmaria, who will be looking to strengthen that squad even more because as things stand, I'm not really sure if it is League One quality. And if they're going into the 23-24 season with a midfield of Raheem Harper and Kegs Chauke, they may still need to do some improvement to that squad. But we'll wait and see. I may be proven wrong. They may end up finishing even higher than Exeter next year. We will see. And the final departure is one that hasn't actually been properly confirmed yet, but because it's past the 30th of June, we're now into July, all of the players' contracts from last season are now up. We now know that Josh Key is no longer a first-team player at Exeter City Football Club, and he is now a free agent. There is this endless debate raging on social media at the moment about whether Josh Key is a championship-level player. Sam, what do you think? I think yes, but there's a lot of people who disagree with me.
Yes, I think he is. And I think he'll be going to Swansea in the next few days. That is what
Yeah.
I think is going to happen. It looks very likely to happen. He's been constantly linked with Swansea, top of the radar. They seem really interested. And I think he'll be fine there. I think he'll be fine at Swansea. If he can't get on, you know, like we've seen a few players do that have made the step up, then there will always be options at the top of League One for him. But Josh Key, a really good player. I think Swansea would be a good move for him. As you know, they've not had the best season last season, but they can build and go again. I think he'll be good in that Swansea team. Constant games against top tier opposition, and I think that'll be really good for Josh Key.
Yeah, a new manager for Swansea City, Michael Duff, has obviously made the move from Barnsley over to Swansea because Russell Martin has left to join Southampton. Joe, same question to you then. Do you think that Josh Key can make it in the Championship?
I certainly do think he can make it in the Championship. I think he's shown the quality that he is a level above most of the League One players we've seen, and a quality above most of the League One defenders we've seen over this season at SJP. And I think he deserves the chance to step up. And if he goes to Swansea, then I think that's a great move for him, because it's a squad that is building. And building squads are always great places for players that are prospects to go to, because you can really build a team around these players and really build that team spirit around, we're all here because we've got a chance of playing the Championship. And we'll see how it goes for him. I don't really get this debate that there is such a thing that he isn't a Championship player, because I think, have you been watching him over this season? Have you seen his performances? He's been a Championship player over the whole season, and no other player in League One has been so versatile, arguably. I know we were taking the mickey out of the fact that he was playing 6-7 different positions over a season, and we almost made a comedy show out of the fact that Gary Caldwell was playing him at 5 different positions in 5 games at the start of his time as manager. But no other player has been as versatile as Josh Keane. You can't doubt that.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. I can't think of another player in the whole division who is as versatile as Josh Key. So you're getting a player who can play pretty much any position. I mean, there are very few players who can play as a centre-back and a striker, and Josh Key did both this season. And obviously his main position being on the right-hand side as a wing-back. So hopefully he can push on at Swansea City or West Brom if they come in for him, and maybe gazump Swansea. As I said, let's just hope it isn't Plymouth Argyle. I don't think it will sign for them. I think that Swansea look like the likely side who will make the move for him. But amid all of those departures, we do have an incoming. And in the last few days, Exeter City have announced the signing of Jack Aitchison from Motherwell. He's an attacking midfielder who was crucial to Forest Green as they won the League Two title in 2022. He scored an important 5 goals from attacking midfield after playing every single game of the campaign. Since then, he signed for Barnsley and did pretty well there, to be honest, for the first half of the season. Played 20 games, started 15 of those, scored 3 goals against Ipswich, Fleetwood and Accrington Stanley before moving to Motherwell for the second half of the season. It was a quieter spell up in Scotland. He only played 10 games and ended up being put on the bench for most games after that. But Gary stressed really that this was a guy who was chased by a load of different clubs across League One. He was wanted by a load of different clubs, but we have managed to win the race for a player. And I think that says a lot about the club. Jack Aitchison, I think he's a great signing. Sam, I'll go to you. What do you think?
Yeah, really good signing. There was some questions asked about Exeter City in the past week about our pool. If we could actually compete with players. But, I think it's a good signing and shows that strength. He through Celtic's youth academy. So like many of our players in our team, the likes of Dimitri Mitchell, they've been at this high standard, and he's still Celtic's youngest goal scorer of all time, which is an interesting stat. He scored 16 on his debut. But yeah, he's bounced around clubs, Scottish clubs quite a lot, but I'm excited to see him. I think a different dimension up front. Gary said he was really versatile, and we know Gary loves a versatile player. So hopefully fits Caldwell's mould really well and, looks good at the moment.
Yeah, I think if we are going to play that 3-4-1-2 that we were playing for so long under Matt Taylor. Gary obviously came in and adopted that formation as well. He slots in pretty nicely, doesn't he, into that 10 role. I think that that's probably where we'll see him play most of his games. I think we probably still need a striker, though, an out-and-out number 9 to partner Sam Nombe up top. Otherwise, it does look like it's going to be James Scott or Sonny Cox. Scott, who, of course, played with Jack Aitchison at the Scotland youth levels. So maybe there will be a little bit of chemistry going on between the two of those. Maybe Carl Taylor in the midfield as well, or 3 of them have played together, or at least Aitchison has played with each of those 2. Carl Taylor at Forest Green when he was a part of that squad. I think Aitchison's a good signing for City. I think that he'll contribute with goals, with a lot of goal involvements as well. Joe, I think that he's a good signing. What do you think?
I think it's a great signing. And I think it really does show the club has that pull.
But that is all of the incomings and outgoings. It's been a really busy week for City and an even busier weekend, I guess, because today we released the brand new kits for the 23-24 season. Out with Joma and Carpet-Right, in with Adidas and Hell Performance. I ran a little poll on Twitter earlier today to gauge the opinion of our listeners, and I thought the results were pretty interesting. 263 votes in the poll. 31% said that it was a gorgeous looking kit. 33% said it was pretty nice. 27% said it was okay. And only 7.6% said it was a shocker. So actually, I think the reception of this kit has been pretty good. But Sam, I want to know what you think.
I like both of them, to be fair. I think the home one's classic, really good. I know there were some questions all over Twitter about how the placement of Hell would look on the front, but I actually think it looks good. I really like the details. You know, it's got the trust badge on the back of the shoulder, back of the collar for the 20-year anniversary. The Adidas kits look really smart. I'm just all around impressed with the home one, really. You know, a classic take. The away one, I'm also rather impressed. I think the large, Pegasus, I guess it is, that's tonally done on the front is really good. Not completely sold on the grey. I think an all-white kit would have been a bit nicer. Does look a little bit like a training shirt as well. But overall, really good too for Adidas's first ones. The goalkeeper ones are horrific, but I don't think anyone minds too much about them.
I like the home kit. I'll say that. I certainly like the home kit. I would have liked the Hell Red to be the same colour red as the City Red, but alas, that hasn't come through. But overall, I think the home kit looks pretty sweet. Away kit, I didn't realise it was a Pegasus. Is that the sort of like ancient Greek sort of
unicorn Pegasus? I guess that's what it is in the badge.
I think so. I don't know. Maybe I just always thought it was a horse. It's clearly not. It's something else with wings. So yeah, Pegasus. That's made its way onto the shirt, an all grey shirt. I think Sam is right in saying that it looks a little bit like a training kit. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad kit. It just means it looks a bit different. I personally prefer the home kit, but the away kit looks nice too. But on that, I think that's pretty much all we got time for today. Thank you so much to Joe and Sam for joining me today. There's so much to talk about, so many incoming, so many outgoings, more outgoings, I will say. Let us know what you think about all of those because, our opinions are what we give, but we'd love to hear your opinions as well. Do you think that each player will do well at their respective clubs now that they've left City? Do you care? Because a lot of people don't care after they leave the club. I certainly do. I like to keep an eye out for all of the players that have left the club. And normally, I just hope that they do well, and hopefully they do. But that is all we got time for on the Greciancast today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you all next time. Cheerio.